Exodus 19. Exodus 19, of course, this chapter comes right before Exodus 20. Exodus 20 is the Ten Commandments. And the reason why Exodus 19 is so important is because it sets up the Ten Commandments. It gives us, the children of Israel, a frame of reference that we can go by. It lets us know what was going on at the time that our forefathers raised their hands to the mighty one and told the creator of heaven and earth that we will obey and keep his commandments. So let's go over it again just so we can point out some of the important points and try and figure out what was going on when our forefathers heard the Ten Commandments. Again, the first Ten Commandments were given from Mount Sinai by the Father himself. However, there are much, much more than Ten Commandments. And I find when I speak to different people who are Christians, many Christians believe that there were only Ten Commandments. And that is not the case. They were taught that, but that is completely wrong. Exodus 19. In the third month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. This is the first congregation. This is where the word church came out of. What Christians like to call the church, in fact, during the days of the Messiah, referred to congregations of the children of Israel. This was the big congregation, the first time that all of Israel came before the Father, the Holy One. And in the end days, we will have a congregation of this size again after we come out of Babylon, when the 12 tribes are gathered. So this is the first congregation. And we went before the Father at the base of Mount Sinai, also called Mount Horeb, spelled Horeb. Verse 3. And Moses went up unto the mighty one, and Yah called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now, therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. The Father told us, You see how I delivered you from the hands of the mighty Pharaoh and the Egyptians, and how I brought you here at the base of the Mount Sinai, unto myself. Verse 5, he told our ancestors, he told our fathers, Now therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you will be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, the covenant is the agreement that the Father made with Abraham. That agreement became an inheritance to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, and it became Israel's inheritance. And so now the Father having gathered all of the children of Israel before him, told our fathers, if you obey my voice, if you keep my covenant, the covenant is the agreement. And the agreement stipulated that if we obey all the laws, the judgments, the commandments, and the precepts of the Father, then the Father, the creator of heaven and earth, will be to us a king and a mighty one. And he will be with us, and he will give us the good portion of the land that is on earth forever and ever. And he will establish his kingdom with us, the children of Israel, forever and ever. Verse 5 again, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure. We are a treasure in the eyes of the Father, and we will be above all people. He will not make Israel equal to Egypt. No, he will make Israel above Egypt, above all of the other people on the earth, above all of the other nations on the earth. Ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. The earth and everything in it belongs to the Father. He tells us if he was hungry, he would not tell you, because all of the earth is his. He rules in the kingdom of heaven, and he rules here on earth. And because the earth is his, he has the power and the authority to give Israel the best part of it, to make Israel a people above all of the other people that are here on earth. Verse 6, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. We are to be a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. Why? Because the day will come that the Father will use the children of Israel to minister the word of the Father unto all the other people who are here on earth. It will be our job, the job of the children of Israel, to teach the other nations and the other people the ways of the Father, to teach them his laws, his commandments, to teach them how to do his will, how to make the Father happy, so that they will have a chance to live the same chance that the Father has given to us. Verse 6 continues, these are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which the Father commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Father hath spoken we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto Yah. Our forefathers accepted the covenant. Our forefathers accepted the agreement. We accepted that we will obey the Father's laws, his statutes, his judgments, his commandments, his precepts, in return for the Holy One being a king to us, in return for the Holy One giving us the land that he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the inheritance that he promised our forefathers. And the Father said unto Moses, lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Father. The Father just told Moses he's going to come in a thick cloud. He just told Moses, I'm going to come the way that I am about to come, so that the people can believe that I have spoken to you, so that the people can believe that I speak to you, and that they will be able to believe you forever. So the Father came the way he came on purpose. He wants the people to see that he is alive, that he is real, that he is powerful, and that he himself has anointed Moses to speak to him and to speak for him in front of the people. And Yah said unto Moses, Go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready again the third day. For the third day the Father will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And so we read that the Father told Moses to tell the people to sanctify themselves. That means to make themselves holy and to keep themselves holy and to wash their clothes, because the Father wants them to be as clean and as holy as they possibly can be, as sanctified and as clean inside and out as they possibly can be. Verse 11, and be ready against the third day. For the third day Yah will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up unto the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall be surely put to death. The Father told Moses, Tell the people, do not step foot on the mountain. Don't even touch it, or else you will die. Why? Because the Father will be there himself, and that mountain, that land is holy. The same way when Moses first saw the burning bush, the Father commanded Moses not to come too near, and he told him to remove his shoes from off his feet, because the place where Moses was standing is holy ground. Nothing dirty, nothing unclean can come near the Father. Verse 13, there shall not a hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through, whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives. And so Moses went down, he sanctified the people. The people washed their clothes, and Moses commanded them, Do not go near your wife. Do not come unto your wife for these 3 days, because we are about to go at the base of Mount Sinai, and the Father is going to talk to us. He wants us to be in as holy a state of mind as we possibly can be, inside and out. And so we were also commanded not to have any relations with our spouses until after we go before the Father. Verse 16, and it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. Again we read, and it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with Yah. And they stood at the nether part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because Yah descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and Yah answered him by a voice. And Yah came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount. And Yah called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. And Yah said unto Moses, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto the mighty one to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also, which come near to the mighty one, sanctify themselves, lest the mighty one break forth upon them. And Moses said unto the Father, The people cannot come up to the Mount Sinai. For thou charged us, saying, Set bounds about the mount, and sanctify it. And Yah said unto him, Away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee. But let not the priest and the people break through to come up unto the mighty one, lest he break forth upon them. So Moses went down unto the people, and spake unto them. What we read from verses 16 through 19 is very important. We see how the Father came down. Let's read it again. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. When our forefathers was at the base of the camp in the day of the congregation, when the Father himself, when his glory descended on top of Mount Sinai, there was thunder. We heard a lot of thunder. They heard a lot of lightning. There was a thick cloud. And there was a trumpet that was blowing loud and loud. And the people were afraid. And Moses brought forth, verse 17, and Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with Yah. And they stood at the nether part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on smoke, because Yah descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. So the people were seeing lightning, they were hearing thunder, they saw thick clouds, they heard a loud trumpet, and they saw fire on top of the mount, and the whole mountain was shaking. So you can imagine that our forefathers were very terrified. Our forefathers became very afraid, and every man looked at his neighbor. A lot of them were saying, We are going to die. You can imagine how it was for them, how much fear they felt when they saw the thick clouds and the fire, and the whole land was shaking around them. Our ancestors, our forefathers were very, very terrified. In the verse 19, and when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and the mighty one answered him by a voice. And Yah came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount. And Yah called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. And Yah said unto Moses, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto the Father to gaze, and many of them perish. Here we see that the Father is telling us that they did have a right to be afraid. If any of them touch the mountain, if any of them even try to have a look at him, they will die. Why? Because the Father is pure, the Father is holy, and we are sinners, we are dirty. We cannot bear to be in the presence of the Father and live. His glory will overwhelm us, and we will die instantly. Verse 22, and let the priests also which come near to the Father sanctify themselves, lest the Father break forth upon them. And Moses said unto Yah, the people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for thou charged us, saying, Set bounds about the mount, and sanctify it. Here we see the scenario. This is what was said. This is the backdrop to the first 10 commandments. The Father wanted to instill fear into the hearts of our forefathers. He wanted them to be very afraid of him. He wanted them to see how powerful he is, so that we can keep his commandments, so that we can obey his commandments. And the first 10 commandments, which are given in Exodus 20, they came forth straight from the Father. We heard a voice. The Father himself, while his glory, while his presence was on top of Mount Sinai, issued the 10 commandments. Whether it was by his voice or by the voice of one of his angels, it was the Father himself, while his presence was at Mount Sinai, who issued the first 10 commandments. The Father wanted us to know just how important his commandments are. He did not leave it to Moses. He wanted us to know that these commandments are from himself. And we will learn it is only because our forefathers were so afraid that they might die if they hear the Father's voice or if they see him, that our forefathers begged Moses to speak to us himself. Our forefather said, Let not the Holy One speak to us again. We don't want to hear the Mighty One's voice again. Do not let Yah talk to us, because we will die. The Father came down, and the earth trembled. And that was Exodus 19. That was the first time that all of Israel assembled before the Father. That is called the congregation. The church, the great assembly of the house of Israel. There assembled at the base of Mount Sinai, while the Father himself descended on the top of the mount. The earth shook. Thick clouds, lightning, thunder, the sounds of trumpets getting louder and louder, smoke, fire, all of these things accompanied the Father when he descended on top of Mount Sinai. And our forefathers, our ancestors, trembled with fear, and we thought that we were about to die. And now, in chapter 20, we are going to read what the Father said unto the people. We are going to read what our ancestors agreed to. The covenant, the agreement that was made between our fathers and the Mighty One, the Creator of heaven and earth. And on that note, let us all say Hallelujah. You are welcome to write to me. My email address is ietham@gmail.com. That's AHITIHAM at gmail.com. ietham@gmail.com. Also, you may call me at 646 425 0923. 646-425-0923. You may visit us at Voix Israel on Facebook. Voix Israel is spelled VWAIZRAYEL. Voix Israel on Facebook.